Hell yes. Mario? Let's see.
Yo, what is up, everybody? NFL
Breaking news!
Not yet.
Listen, I had to follow up from the last show, all right? I made a little oopsie-whoopsie. Oopsie daisies, if you will.
Yes.
Speaking of that, it'd be crazy because girls be like, who's Daisy? But then they'll go, no way, Jose. Who is Jose?
Jose.
Welcome, everybody. NFL Rush, October 22nd. I'm everybody's favorite couch quarterback, Dante, here with my man, 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗶𝗲𝘀𝗀.
Yo, yo, yo.
Everybody's favorite Oos and everybody's favorite Goose. Sore.
Oos and Goose, bro. I'm doing that. I'm doing my Alec Bowman impression.
Oh, my God. Please.
Not enough interceptions, bro.
For real, though. Oos and Goose, that would be a dope name for a show, bro. That's something you'd get on like Disney XD or something. It's just an
That's gotta be the Saturday morning shows or whatever.
Saturday morning show, Oos and Goose, or wait. Oos and Goose. I had a stroke there for a second. We're good now.
Are you good? Are you sure? Can we continue?
No, I'm leaving. All right, enjoy the rest of the show, y'all. I'm out. Bye.
Hey, man, we just had some breaking news not that long ago, just to go ahead and kick the show off, man. Alvin Kamara agrees
Breaking news!
to a 2-year extension with the New Orleans Saints. Now, you know how we do. I don't really care about the money that another player is making. Good for him. But the reason why it makes his interesting is because, what did you tell me last week, Sor? What did he say?
He walked up to Sean Payton and said, "Come get me," after getting blown out by the Broncos on Thursday Night Football.
Crazy. So reportedly, He agreed on a $24.5 million contract extension over the next, well, a 2-year extension onto this one. So, yeah. I mean, y'all know how I feel about Alvin Kamara. I think he's... Now, I had this conversation a couple years ago. In y'all's opinion, is he on par, worse, or better than 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗶𝗲𝘀𝗀 right
now?
I think that you could make the argument for better.
Are we talking about as a whole or just on Philly?
No, I'm just saying, like,
I look at it as a whole. You look at their entire careers, right? Because obviously, like, Shady had his time in Philly where he was the man, arguably the best running back in the league. But Kamara has been in that conversation for his entire career, and he's done it as, he's done it as the number 1 back. He's done it as the number 2 back, right? Because when he was initially drafted, right, he had Mark Ingram in front of him. And then Mark Ingram leaves, and it's the Kamara show. And then Mark Ingram comes back,
and he's like, "Wow!"
Kamara is suddenly the either 1 to Mark Ingram's 2 or the 1A to Mark Ingram's 1B, which was flipped from when Kamara's career started. And even now, after drafting Kendre Miller, who I know struggled, I think he was out like all of last year with an injury. Even still, like, Kamara is still the man. He is
and even when. Or not one, because he still is, but like even with Jamal Williams back there.
Oh yeah, and when Jamal Williams, right? He the thing with Kamara, that gets me is the longevity of it. Like, he's been playing at a high level for so long with high usage rates. Like, it's not like this is a guy who had his few years at running back, because generally it's like you have your few years. Outside of that, you can be good, but like Kamara has consistently, kind of like Derrick Henry, consistently been at the top of this position ever since he entered the league. But the thing with Kamara is he's not just getting touches on the ground, but he's also getting touches in the passing game. I would say yes, and I'm an Eagles guy. I love Shady, but all things considered, Alvin Kamara, I think, is better.
All right, so in an 8-year career out of 12 years for 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗀𝘀, Alvin Kamara is only 6 touchdowns away from tying 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝘀𝘀's total touchdowns.
And Kamara had that one Christmas game where it was like, what, 5 touchdowns or something? Like, I want to say in terms of moments, big games, like, yeah, Shady may have better like highlights, meaning like, oh, he just stole that guy's ankles, right? He may have some of more of those moments, but Kamara, holistically and even like in terms of performances statistically, he produces more, and he does it in so many ways.
He's on pace to beat his total yardage record here over the next couple of years too. So if he keeps this pace up.
Well, and you talk about like, I okay, then I can agree that it would, yes, so far he is projected, or throughout, the rest of his career, unless, God forbid something happens to where he just can't play anymore. Mm-hmm. But then yes, I would say over Shady. The only concern with the entirety of this thing is, as Khalid mentioned, the longevity of this, because like you mentioned, this is his 8th year right now. Granted, yes, he's had a couple behind Ingram and, rotating in with Williams, all that stuff. But not even health-wise. You also got to think about it like legal-wise, because he has been in trouble before. And, take what you will from all that.
Yeah.
But legal-wise, like, that still does come into play at some points. Like, I'm not saying he's going to do the exact same thing again, but the possibility is there. Like, dude doesn't have a squeaky clean record. Like, the homie could just snap off again.
Yeah.
But I do think this is interesting, especially after, like I mentioned before, of him walking up to Sean Payton. And you could hear it too. This isn't just like, oh, this is something. You can hear it live on the hot mic from Alvin Kamara himself saying, come get me. And then this happens not even a week later. So it's quite interesting. But, this is kind of the cornerstone of the offense. This is to help out Spencer Rattler for however long he's in, or whatever young quarterback you throw in, even with Derek Carr. I mean, you can't go wrong with having Alvin Kamara in your lineup. And I don't mean your fantasy lineup.
Yeah. I mean, Alvin Kamara has been a staple for that team. After Drew Brees left, I mean, he was the only one. It was supposed to be Big Mike.
Slant boy.
Yes.
Yes.
Good
The
old
slant man
slant
himself.
Slant Meister. What a career. That's all I'll say.
I mean, he was a beast. He used to get thrown the ball a lot, but people tend to forget that Alvin Kamara was a first down monster. I wonder what their career first downs are too. I need to look that stat up between him and 𝐿aShawn McCoy and Kamara. I have no idea why that conversation got brought up. This was when we first started the podcast, so this was 4 years ago, and I said that I would take Kamara over 𝐿aShawn McCoy. And people are like,
Yeah, I'm sure that went over well.
Oh, just go back. Go back to the. Hold on, let me see. I'm gonna see if I can find the video real quick and link y'all to it because it was hilarious. I think it was me and Nelson were actually the ones that were arguing about it. And
I would imagine.
And it was like the funniest thing. Let's see. I know it's like one of the very first ones too. This was 𝐿aShawn McCoy claims he's Hall of Fame worthy. I think that was the video, and then I started talking about 𝐿aShawn McCoy. I had to go back and look at it. My, how the times have changed. This was 3 years ago.
How the turns have tabled.
How the turns have tabled. But at the end of the day, guys, is this deserving? Are you happy that he's going to be retiring a Saint? I would have loved to see what he would have looked like on another team, but that's just selfish me.
Especially because it's like, this isn't the first time that it's been talked about that he might be on the move, or that he's voiced displeasure on the Saints before. So it's all interesting.
Right. 𝗲𝘂𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗂𝗏?
Kamara has like right around 100 less first downs when you combine rushing and receiving totals. So I know you kind of brought that up. I just checked.
What was it?
It was like around 100. McCoy had like 500 on the ground and like 100 receiving, and Kamara had like 300 and 200 splits.
Oh, okay. He's still got a ways to go.
Yeah. I mean, I recognize that, yeah, Kamara may not ever sniff a Super Bowl or even an NFC championship, maybe not even the playoffs in the rest of his career, but I really do like it when a player sticks it out with one team for their entire career. You go down as a legend, you get to retire with the team, right? It's cool when a guy like Deshaun Jackson or even a Shady McCoy, they get to, sign the 1-day contract and retire an Eagle, right? Because that's their home. That's the team where they saw the peaks of their careers. But
Nick Foles did the same, yeah.
Yeah, but it's like when you have a guy who plays their entire career with one team and does amazing things, sticks with them through thick and thin. I mean, New Orleans had some good runs with Kamara in the backfield, and they've also had some really down years.
Yeah. For
a guy to stick like their entire career with one franchise through the ups and downs of each season, through multiple head coaches, and it's just the definition of consistency and reliability. Like, that is how you go down as an all-time great for a franchise. And that loyalty I have ultimate respect for. I know that it was kind of like, well, he got his money, so maybe it was more about that than loyalty itself. But you gotta like, you can think of so many players who maybe have taken less money to go somewhere else to win, right? Or they just are like, I've had enough and I want to hit the open market and test my value and go somewhere else where I can win. But for Kamara to stick where he's at, knowing that it's probably not going to be great over the next couple seasons, I really respect it. And I like the move.
Yeah, and it could also just be, I mean, we don't know what the contract details are. So, yes, it's an extension, but it could have also been a rework to potentially free up some cap. I'm not saying like, they're going to extend him, free up cap, and then potentially maybe later down the road move on. But, Saints have always been in cap hell. So, it could also just be that they have freed up cap space. We don't know. We got to wait to see what the contract details are. I think all we know is it was 2 years, 26 mil extension.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't sound like it's a rework because I think he was coming near his contract anyways. So it sounds like that they're keeping him around. I'm really bad with contract details because I don't really care.
Don!
I know.
Where's Don when you need him?
Let's see. 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗶𝗲𝗀𝗀 contract. Kamara has been to an NFC championship. I mean, that's a team accolade. I mean, at least to me, I don't really care about that stuff either. I mean, that's like saying Max Duggan was in a national championship. Does anybody really care? I'm just being serious. Like, does anybody care?
Duggan is.
He's not on the roster.
Jalen Reagor was a first-round draft pick. Does anybody really care? Especially after last night. That shit was nasty work.
So I don't know. Because now I don't know what his original.
Now you got me thinking.
Workout bonus, fully guarantees, roster bonus. Does somebody know what the contract history is?
Contract history?
Again, I'm really bad at this stuff because I don't really care.
He signed after his second contract, right after his rookie contract, was a 5-year, $75 million contract with the Saints, $15 million in signing bonuses, and $33.8 million guaranteed. So an average annual salary of $15 million per year.
When was his rookie contract?
His rookie contract was like
what year?
It went from 2017 to 2020, I believe.
And he signed a 5-year? Yeah, so his contract would have been due next year anyways.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I was about to say, it's extended to what, 2026? Maybe not.
Well, it being fully guaranteed, 1.5 in incentives, which nobody knows what that is. It could be you wear black shoes for the next 5 games as a contractor. So, nobody knows what the incentive is.
Okay. It did save 18 mil on the 2025 salary cap.
That's because he was set to make 25 million next year.
Yes.
With the new deal.
Oh, no, I know what I'm saying.
18 million in cap space. Okay. All right.
Correct. Also, can we just last thing I want to add on this, can we just talk about the turnaround? Because we're talking about a year ago. What's the point of having a running back? Their contracts suck. To now, we've got some of the highest paying contract for these running backs now, and they just keep topping each other. What a crazy world.
Yeah, it's nasty work. Man.
Life comes. We literally were talking about why would you ever want your child to play running back or whatever? Because of how they're in. Yeah, it's just. And now it's shit. Look at. It's 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗶𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, Alvin Kamara, and Christian McCaffrey right now. They're getting paid.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Nasty work.
Well, Alvin Kamara, all I have to say is well deserved. I think whatever team whenever a team extends you, you know that they got something special. So they're not going to extend you or keep you on their team if they don't think that there's anything there. So well deserved, man. But what we really came to talk about, the Chiefs just keep on rolling. Why are the Chiefs so good? They are the last remaining undefeated team in the NFL at 6-0. And Patrick Mahomes so far, 1,389 yards, 6 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 61.2 QBR, which is really weird and strange to look at by all accounts, if you ask me. They beat the Ravens, the Bengals, the Falcons, the Chargers, the Saints, and an ailing 49ers squad. They are missing Jalen Watson, Mike Dana, Juju Smith-Schuster, Rashee Rice, Isaiah Pacheco. Rashee Rice and Isaiah Pacheco, Hollywood Brown, who's supposed to be there, B.J. Thompson, Charles Omenihu, and McCade Mateer. All guys that have made an impact on this team at one point or another. And they're still 6-0, man. How are they doing it?
Well, and it's crazy too, because it's like he's 6-8, not record, sorry, 6 touchdowns, like 8 interceptions. It's crazy. And there was one clip which I almost put on What the Fuchs, but I was like, let me not, because there's no way I'm going to be able to hold on to this for like, or turn it into a minute. Of much like with what Kenny Pickett did with the slide, he does a fake like step out of bounds because he knows if he hangs close enough to that, like if he hangs close enough to that boundary, and if he gets hit hard by like a Fred Warner, it's going to be an extra 15 yards. And that's the thing that they're kind of capitalizing on, is just, you know, he knows that he can capitalize on that, and he's able to take advantage of it. And I don't know. It's honestly just crazy. And truly, it's also just the defense for the Chiefs are just really good. Now, you know, much like with, I saw somebody say this, that, you know, Miami is the Hurricanes, is the Kansas City of college, all that stuff with some of the calls, like, you know, with the Falcons in week 3 and all that. So
yeah.
Yes, there have been some questionable calls as well, but it's interesting, man. I don't know how long they can carry through this. You know, hell, they could carry this entirely through the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes could look like dog shit for the rest of the season. That team is just so stacked. That defense is so well ran. You know, I know week 1, you know, Isaiah Likely doesn't catch that game winner by a toe. You've got their defensive coordinator calling a timeout under the 2-minute warning. You're not allowed to do it, but they allowed it anyways.
Yeah.
So there's just a lot of it. I really can't give an answer. Like, it's kind of one of those things where I'm just sitting up here going, I can't give a defiant answer without being like, they've cheated, which I'm not saying they are. But, you know, that's kind of, I can't give a defiant answer to be like, this is the clear, distinct reason why. There's so many different variables. It's just going to have to be a wait and see at this point.
The comparison between them and Miami is pretty valid, because a lot of their, you know, you go back to their wins and losses here, beating the Ravens 27-20, 26-25 against the Bengals, 22-17 against the Falcons, 17-10 against the Chargers, 26-13. I would give that one to them. And then the 49ers, who are injured. So
I would give the Saints one legit. Chargers, you know, they were injured. Falcons, you had that questionable call. Isaiah Likely, you know, by a toe. Bengal, I think there was a
pass interference
call. Yeah. So
Cincinnati.
Yeah, it's all.
I would say this. Having Kareem Hunt back, which they said he would never be back part of that organization, They put their feelings to the side.
So that was a lie.
Yeah, and they found their guy. He's got 3 touchdowns so far this season, which is only half of Patrick Mahomes. Rashee Rice has been out several weeks, and you would think that one of these receivers would step onto the plate and get more yardage than he had. 288 yards has still not been eclipsed, and he's been gone for several weeks now. Travis Kelce is right behind him at 245. I would love, and I don't know what it is, and shout out to Nick Bolton, man. That dude is one of the most underrated linebackers in the league. Time and time again finds himself
I'm so sick of this.
Of linebacker performances every single year and never gets talked about. But I want to see my boy Justin Watson get more involved in that game too, because he seems to be a security blanket as well and just never gets the love that he deserves too. So Noah Gray starting to come out of his shell too.
Which even last year, Noah Gray was a big factor. There were times where he was more of a factor than Kels.
Yeah.
Or Kelce, whatever.
Yeah, tomato.
Tomato. Fire the warning shot.
So who knows? Jeff said Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl. I don't think so. Kind of what I'm alluding to is like their luck is going to run out here soon.
Yeah, I don't think that I think if it comes down to it, Isaiah Likely dead ass might just cut off his toe to prevent that from happening. Obviously that's a joke, but it's.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah.
Listen, you already know there's going to be that one. There's going to be that one comment like, "Can't believe you said that."
Well, they do play their first divisional game this week against the Raiders. Sorry, Torque.
Well, they played the Chargers earlier.
Oh, I mean, sorry. Yeah, this is their second.
Their first game against the Raiders, but yes. Either way, sorry, Torque.
Yeah, so we will see.
Although if they win, I'm waiting for all the Desmond Ridder is the savior we've been looking for videos to come out. I'm waiting for that.
Desmond Ridder MVP season. We're 8 weeks into the season. That's not happening.
The Chiefs have. I think their success comes from their defense. They're a top 5, or top 10 unit across the board, right? Rushing defense, passing defense, total defense, scoring defense.
Damn shame that Washington can't produce any good corners.
Yeah, for real. That McDuffie guy. Wonder what he's up to. But like their defense is elite, but surprisingly, it's the offense that hasn't been able to really get the ball rolling. I mean, yeah, losing Rashee Rice and Isaiah Pacheco really does hurt. But this is a guy, Patrick Mahomes, who for years now has been able to get it done just with Travis Kelce at tight end, right? With whoever it is in the backfield, whoever it is out wide, even after Tyreek Hill left. Maybe it's because of 2 high safeties in cover 2 in the NFL, cover 4. Maybe, I don't know. Whatever the change is.
Mel Kiper was right. We need to ban it. Mel Kiper mentioned the snapping turtle.
One of the things though that that interests me a lot, right, is the average depth of target statistic, because it's how far are these guys pushing the ball down the field. And for a lot of guys, it's down this year, right? Patrick Mahomes' average depth of target this year is 6.1, but last year it was 6.9, and the year before it was 7.5, and the year before that it was 7.4. So over the last 3 years before this year, he wasn't really pushing the ball that far downfield. I mean, yeah, you can look at it as like a 0.8, almost an entire yard shorter than last year. But even then, it's just like looking at the games, the scores, it seems like less is happening. And so seeing how there's not much of a variation, at least statistically, in how Mahomes is playing, this seems to be more of a receiver or defenses thing, where Mahomes is still, making the checkdowns, making the short throws, and, he'll have his deep shots, whatever. But it seems to be the defenses are doing a better job at making the tackles right after the catch, that, his guys aren't able to get as many run after catch yards. Right. And also just looking at the scoring totals as a whole, the Chiefs haven't scored over 30 points in a single game this season. The most they've scored in the game was 28 this past week against San Francisco. So I think just as a whole, the offense just isn't getting the ball rolling. I don't know if that's more on the running game or the passing game, because it's easy to look at Mahomes and his stats that you had up there, Dante, and be like, man, it's a Mahomes thing. He's thrown 6 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. But when you also look at it, yeah, the touchdowns and interceptions are different, but he himself is not playing much different than he normally has been, which I just think is very interesting, that it might be more of a credit to the defenses that are evolving and his weapons around him aren't doing as well after the catch.
Yeah. I mean, I think that this is totally a Steve Spagnuolo special this year. He's been so good as their defensive coordinator. That so much so, I don't know if he's interested in actually head coaching again, but he's going to be. I know a lot of people talk about hot head coaching hires, the Ben Johnsons of the world and those guys like that. But
Ben Johnson, Monken.
Yeah, and we just don't know if those are. Those guys are. Do you want to be head coaches? If not, and they want to stick around with their team and just be the coordinator of the future, and they're okay with that, I think the Ravens and the Chiefs are going to be okay for many, many years to come. If I was Lamar Jackson, I'd be telling Todd Monken, please don't go, please.
Said, don't leave me, Todd.
Please, Murph, don't leave me.
Don't leave me.
Oh man, but yeah. I think it's strictly just this is a coaching, getting the right calls in your favor, of course, because we've talked about that, and then going in free agency and grabbing guys like Kareem Hunt that you know can help your team. Has been really, really good, and then depth also matters. I don't think we talk about that a lot. Like Trent McDuffie's been playing out of his mind too. You know, having guys like that are just staples of your defense makes everything so much better. And week to week, you know what you got. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know if they can keep rolling. I think, obviously, I don't think the Raiders are a pushover team by any means, especially going into a divisional game. Like, the Raiders could walk out of this one with a close W. But who's kidding ourselves? It's Patrick Mahomes, even though he's got 6 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. He could come out having 5 touchdowns in this game, and we're all talking about, oh, damn, he's back. He's angry, and they're ready to roll, right? So, I don't know. We all gave great points. Coaching, players, Patrick Mahomes, defense. It all matters.
I'm so sick of this.
It all matters. And one thing you can say is even in last year's performance when they won the Super Bowl, a lot of people were doubting them because of the team that they put together around them too.
Yeah.
And let's just say, gentlemen, this is looking like last year's team a little bit when they didn't know what they had, and then they actually ended up winning the Super Bowl too. So
yeah,
we keep doubting, but maybe their time maybe not coming to a close, even with the close wins, because a W is a W at the end of the day. And they've defined the laws of gravity several times.
Yeah,
so
and that's what, like, they could literally play like this for the rest of the regular season and then just look like a completely different team come playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, shit's ridiculous.
But, yeah, the Chiefs are going to keep on rolling until...
It's just nasty work.
Yeah, I guess till somebody stops them, right?
Somebody stop me. Okay.
Just like we did red shirt and transfer, we're going to call this segment the read option. You're either going to keep it if you agree or pitch it.
God, I wish I learned how to read.
So these are the hottest takes of the week, right? First one up. Hopefully these are as good as the college ones.
It's like the I'm trying to think. It's like either you do the tush push or fake it and do like a jump pass.
I was told
like, I don't want this, handed off.
Also, this team is living and dying by Taylor Swift. Who's this defensive coordinator you bring up?
That is fair.
No, that's it. That's her. What if we find out that? What if you find out that like Steve Spagnuolo?
That's her manager.
No, is like her uncle or something, bro.
Well, if you go back and look at the What the Fuchs playlist, you will see live footage of Taylor Swift on the field.
Oh my God, here we go. All right, here we go.
I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. That had you dying.
Play along in the comments section. New segment called the read option. If you used to redshirted transfer, this is what this segment are called on the NFL side. But keep it if you agree. Pitch it if you disagree. Lamar Jackson is the front runner for MVP.
I'm keeping it. You want to know why? Because that's what Lamar Jackson does in those options. That's what's going to get him MVP.
I was going to say that exact same thing.
Got a comment section and be like, these guys don't know anything.
I was literally going to be like, much like Lamar, I'm going to keep it.
And the only person right now who I think at this point could have a strong enough argument against it is the other guy in the backfield with him, Derrick Henry.
Interesting. Not quite who I thought you were going to go with. Thought you were going to go with either... Thought you would have gone with like Josh Allen or something.
Yeah,
gotta win games, boy.
No, that's fair. That's why I didn't say Joe Burrow, even though their stats are pretty eerily similar.
Yeah.
But that's why I definitely didn't say Joe Burrow.
He's averaging 124 yards per game right now.
Yep.
Yeah, Joe.
He just got 170 on like 16 carries last night,
What is
one of my parlays was hanging on the balance of him busting.
What does he have? He has 873, but he's played. Ravens haven't had a bye week yet, have they?
Yeah. Where's Jared Goff in this conversation? A good question.
You might hear Jared Goff's name brought up a little bit later.
There's Jared Goff, 1,600, 10 for 4.
Y'all realize that Lamar Jackson's on pace to run for 1,000 yards again, right?
Yeah, no, I'm still going with Lamar, but there are a lot of good candidates.
Lamar's passing statistics this year are the best in his career thus far.
Yes.
In every single category. Not one category is left behind this year. He's been that damn good, and he's having fun too.
Yes.
Which when Lamar Jackson is sitting there on the sidelines smiling with his grill in, you know it's game time.
I still need to know what's his face? Who was Orlando Bloom? I still need to know what he said to Lamar on that one clip.
I mean, Jared Goff's got 10 touchdowns to Lamar's 15. I mean, I would still throw Baker in that conversation. Right?
I was going to say Baker. However, with the loss of his weapons, who knows?
Yeah, you just don't know. It's a weird year, but I 100%.
If only there was a wide receiver currently available that could potentially save their season.
Baker just throws way too many improbable interceptions for me. Y'all seen it. Dude just chucks it downfield.
Yeah.
He said, F it, somebody down there somewhere. But
someone down there.
Yeah.
Mike got me.
Hey, I have a very interesting one coming up here soon. But I'm going to say keep it on this one. He's definitely the front runner. After last night's performance, that team is getting together. And Todd Monken is up in the booth calling some of the best plays for them to respond with. I mean, it's incredible how much the trust that they just have alone in Justice Hill has been really, really cool to see too. I don't know, bro. This team's depth is insane. So that's the first one. The second one is Cooper Kupp ends up in Kansas City.
In Kansas City?
I am going to pitch it.
Am I saying
I think he ends up? I think
will, or I think he should.
However you interpret that, he ends up in Kansas City.
I'll keep this one too.
No, I said I'm pitching it.
There's the only other one. I'm keeping it.
I think he goes to Tampa.
That's the other team.
Yeah, I think Tampa needs them way more.
Do they really?
with Chris Godwin and Mike Evans out, yeah, that's if Mike they want to save their
Mike
season.
Evans is coming back though. He's just
but week 11.
I would argue that Kansas City needs him more just because their realistic goals are much higher. I don't know if the Bucs are ready to contend for a Super Bowl this year, while the Chiefs certainly are with their defense. You add Cooper Kupp into the mix, Rashee Rice and Isaiah Pacheco come off IR soon. That's not even mentioning Marquise Brown. Suddenly your whole offense is a lot more dangerous, and Cooper Kupp is a different type of receiver that Kansas City hasn't had in years. A guy he's a route running master.
Outside of, it's like having a faster Travis Kelce on your outside.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. It's crazy work.
That opens up so much because Andy Reid, offensive genius, right? He and his offensive coordinators are gonna find ways to get this guy open with his route running ability. Kupp would be able to do it. And you think about it from the Rams' point of view. You're not contending. Puka Nacua has shown when Cooper Kupp is out that he can produce at an elite level. You have guys like Tyler Johnson, Tutu Atwell, who can still be vertical threats on the outside, and you have a young receiver who just drafted in Jordan Whittington, who profiles very similarly to Cooper Kupp, who also is in the top 10 in receiving for rookies and is up there in receiving for the Rams themselves. So Whittington, I see is, let him learn from Puka Nacua. Let him, give him some more playing time, some more reps, because, he led the league in preseason receiving yards. No, that doesn't mean too much, but he's shown that he can be reliable, that he can catch the football. And
FYI, sorry to interrupt, not really breaking, but it is Jameis Winston will be starting over DTR for the Browns going forward.
Well, that was probably the case after DTR's performance.
DTR was just for the game plan, just for yesterday. But anyways, continue.
But I think that the Rams can afford to move on from Cooper Kupp and get some draft capital, right? The Rams haven't really drafted anyone up until this year with early picks because they traded them all away. And then what happens with your early picks that you use? Oh, Jared Verse, Braden Fisk, these kinds of guys. And there's two of the best rookie defensive linemen in the entire league. So the Rams, they seem to have good talent evaluation, especially because they can hit on players late in the draft like a Puka Nacua. Let's accumulate more picks, trade Cooper Kupp, who is getting older, to a team in the opposite conference who needs a guy like him, who is willing to pay a pretty penny, knowing that we're not contending right now, and we have other guys who we know will be able to produce without Cooper Kupp drawing double teams or their top corner. So I think it makes sense for the Rams to trade him away, and I think it makes a lot of sense for Kansas City. And between Kansas City and Tampa, I think that Kansas City has more reasons to try to outbid the other than Tampa Bay does.
Yes, but to go with that, and yes, you talk about the late hit with Puka Nacua. If, like you say, this move to Tampa doesn't set them up like it would for the Chiefs for a Super Bowl run, they would be getting the lower picks, though. If that were to go with it, or to go with your statement.
That's true, but then you're also assuming that both teams are offering picks in the same round and the equal amount of picks. Because again, I think
they came out and said that at a minimum it's going to be a second.
Okay, but do you think both teams are really only going to offer a second? I think that Kansas City would be much more willing to trade more picks for a Cooper Kupp because they have more to gain by trading for Cooper Kupp.
I still feel like if he goes to Tampa, I still think that sets them up. I think that sets them up perfectly.
I mean, you might get a better pick because it's higher in that round, but
I know, but I'm talking about I'm just talking about in general. I think either way, if they go to Tampa, if he goes to Tampa or Chiefs, I feel like both of them can be contenders at that point still. I still think Tampa can be a contender with Cooper Kupp.
I don't see Cooper going to the Vikings unless Matthew.
I was going to say that one was interesting, Torque. I wanted to hear about that.
They got Jordan Addison, and then what's his name? Hawkinson's coming back. I think they're
Jefferson,
good.
Hawkinson,
and then they got Jalen Naylor, who's been really good for them. But
Packers,
the Packers, they got too many.
Packers got too damn many. Yeah. They don't.
And I think Tampa Bay could contend, sure. But I mean, if you're each franchise looking at your roster top to bottom, Tampa, they just had a loss against a really good team, so it's not that bad. But if you're Kansas City, the way that your offense isn't performing well, I think that Kansas City is still closer to winning to being in that Super Bowl winning conversation than Tampa is. And I think that Kansas City thinks that they are closer than Tampa Bay thinks they are. I'm not saying that Tampa Bay wouldn't be a contender and that wouldn't instantly make them a whole lot better and probably a lock to win the NFC South and all those other things. I think they would be if they traded for Cooper Kupp. But I think that Kansas City being undefeated, right? Being undefeated with an amazing defense, with all their top weapons on offense out, and you add Cooper Kupp to that team, I mean, they would probably be the betting favorites. You would have every reason to believe that Kansas City would repeat. Tampa Bay, they would suddenly launch themselves into the conversation for maybe making the Super Bowl. So again, I think Kansas City would have different expectations and would be better able to reach them if they traded for Cooper Kupp than Tampa Bay. Thus, I believe that they would be willing to give up more. And again, the Rams have shown a propensity for being able to draft good players in later rounds. So I think it's safe to assume too that they do value, more picks, right? Rather than a pick in a higher pick in the same round, right?
Right.
And I think all of those things combined leads me to believe like Kansas City over Tampa. Both are great destinations, but I do think that Kansas City, I think, would be ideal for both teams and player.
Well, I mean, there's several different options that you can go to for sure. And another one that I just want to throw in there is the Raiders. The Raiders, I hate to bring them up, but like what makes a lot of sense to me is if the Rams trade a first-round pick for Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford.
Oh, you're saying that the Raiders give them a first-round pick for both of them?
Yep.
For Stafford and Kupp?
For Stafford and Kupp, and potentially a younger player that could help them out.
I don't feel like that would be enough.
I don't think that's.
I don't think either one of them is worth a first-round pick at this point. That's what I'm saying. It might be enough, and a couple, maybe another pick and another player in that deal, and it automatically fills in some deficiencies that the Raiders have because their defense is not bad. I don't know. I'm just thinking of potential trade spots where
I mean,
you don't have to worry about chemistry between two players because they come there.
That's true. And before you mentioned Stafford, I was like, I don't know, but like if they are getting sent together, I don't see why not, right? Because I mean, if you're a receiver, you don't have a quarterback or a running game really, you're screwed. Your career is toast. But if you have a quarterback back there who is a proven track record of not only winning, but when he's not winning, he's still putting up massive numbers and giving your team a chance week in and week out with a terrible offensive line. Like, look, Matt Stafford has been in his entire career in Detroit, had a top wide receiver putting up top wide receiver numbers while himself getting crunched in the pocket, like week in and week out. And I don't know the numbers about Vegas's offensive line, so I'm not going to say like they're terrible because I just don't know that. But you got to imagine that.
I'm sure somewhere a Raiders fan is typing that we're wrong already.
I mean, look, if y'all do have a good offensive line, then that makes it even better. But y'all don't have a running game. So I guess in a sense, my point still stands. You don't have a running game to support to support Stafford, but he's able to stand in the pocket, deliver good footballs downfield, and absorb hits. He's the quarterback who, if you throw him into a bad offense, he's going to get the most out of it.
Yeah.
And give him Cooper Kupp, you got a bona fide superstar receiver too. So if you're Vegas, I would say just don't pay too much because, again, both of these guys are getting older. You don't want to ransom away your future just for an aging quarterback and wide receiver who can help you win now. But even then, if they trade for both of them, I don't think that they would be Super Bowl contenders. So why give up premium draft capital for both of them? So
facts. Yeah, I could see that.
I feel like the only reason that you make this trade for Stafford and Kupp for the Raiders is just to prove that it's not fire Antonio Pierce and he just does not have the right talent. He's got the coaching, all that. He just doesn't have the talent, because it's a very love-hate train roller coaster wishy-washy bullshit going on with AP right now in Las Vegas.
Right.
But yeah, I just don't think it's a logistical move.
Well, there's a lot of places that he could go. Torque says that's what I think the Vikings should do: send Darnold in a 1 for Kupp and Stafford. Tell me they don't become Super Bowl favorites.
Well, and that's what the plan was with that's what it had said in the report that came out with talking about Stafford being traded for Darnold, was that Vikings are in a very win now mode, especially with the entire NFC North being very competitive between the Bears, who would have fucking thought I said that, the Packers and the Lions. And then the plan is that they being the Rams, want Sam Darnold to be the guy moving forward. So after the trade, basically sign him to an extension. We've seen what you've done. Stafford's a little bit old. Go out, have one last hoorah before Kelly makes you retire. Sam, come over here. We're going to extend you. You know, here are your weapons. You'll have Puka Nacua. Maybe you'll have Cooper Kupp. Who knows? You'll have Tutu Atwell, Kyron Williams, Blake Corum. We'll work on this, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that so far is what I've seen that's what the part of the report was for the trade. Because I saw that and I went, this would be stupid. And then I read through it and I was like, okay, never mind. That makes a bit more sense.
Right.
I don't know. This trade, something tells me this trade deadline is going to be very interesting, or it's going to be absolutely nothing.
I wonder how many people are going to force a trade in regards to them not being confident in this year's draft. Because this is an interesting draft.
Could be interesting. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Next one up. And the last one. Marvin Harrison Jr. is overrated so far.
If we mean by overrated that he hasn't lived up to expectations, then agree. I'll keep the my read is keep it, right?
I'm keeping it right now. The last couple of games that I've seen this dude playing, exactly what I saw on film, and people try to disagree with me. The dude is lazy.
You and I were literally in the trenches during this. I took those shots with you, brother, in trench warfare.
He's a lazy route runner. He's a lazy blocker. He just looks lazy. And he's too talented to be this lazy. He looks like he's not trying.
Why does he look so pissed at that headshot?
I don't know why.
I'm just looking at it.
He's nothing to fear right now. I mean, Cam Hart was putting the clamps on him last night and then called for stupid flags. Shout out to my boy Cam Hart.
I was about to say, that's why I just looked at the camera like, yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, I think he's been overrated so far, for sure. And everything that I saw on film is just coming to light. You can't just like half-ass, man, in the NFL. And I felt like that was going to be the case. And his dad, I love Marvin Harrison Sr., man. That dude, he was a monster, bro. And the thing about him, he's not his son's height. He's not his son's weight. He doesn't have his son's intangibles when he played at Syracuse and at Indianapolis. He played larger than life with what he had. And that's what made him so good. And if I was his, I'm not saying that his dad never told him this, so I might be speaking out of turn, but I'm just saying, like, there's no way that you can be this way, Marv. When you got everything you got everything your dad had and more. Like, the Cardinals should be way better because of you. And my boy Michael Wilson is out. He's outshining you. This is crazy.
I'm gonna keep it as well, although I will say it is very wishy-washy, just because, like, you know, we look at the first Bills game. You can see, like, the potential touchdown of Marvin Harrison Jr. just wide open on the sideline, and Kyler Murray didn't see it. There's been a couple of times like that, yes. And then, the next game, absolutely went off, had, I forget how many touchdowns he had, but of week 2. And then, made the comment of, like, I know that Kyler had 4 incompletions, all to me. That's not acceptable. it's just you'll have performances like that, but then you'll have performances like week 1 and last night, where again, much like you and I said on the film study, Clee, you were safe from that trench because you weren't with us yet. But Dante and I were fucking battling it out in the trenches with that of just lazy blocker, and sometimes it's just
like,
lazy
reload
out.
my gun, reload my gun. Source like I'm trying.
Reload. It was literally like just feeding him the like fucking receipt length of just a magwell for the LMG. But yeah, it was just sometimes it would just be lazy route running, lazy blocking, and it's just if it were a run play, he would take maybe 2 steps and just put his hands up and just look towards the running back to see what it was. If it was like if he knew that the ball didn't go to him, he was not going to put effort in at times in Ohio State. And again, before all the haters start typing over there, go back in the film study and watch it. Even though by this point, I'm sure you probably already left a comment. So my words are now sounding like Charlie Brown's teacher of just nothing to you people. But yeah, I'm going to keep it.
Don't be watching nothing, bro. Just swear up and down the player is what he is. And it's like, bro, I get it. We're not saying that the dude doesn't have talent and he wasn't the #1 prospect at wide receiver. But damn, try, Marv.
Let's not act like there were some receivers. I'm not saying there were some receivers just better than him in overall. But like, let's not act like he was the perfect receiver all around. There were other receivers that were better at certain aspects of the game than he was. Not of the game, but like certain aspects better of being a wide receiver than Marv was by like a fucking mile.
Anywho, it just seems like a natural or a waste of natural talent. And again, it's so early in the kid's career, so it's not like we're saying in the end he's already doomed for failure. But I think at this point, right, it's especially when you're drafted this high, when you had the career in college that you had.
Brian Thomas Jr.'s performing better than him.
Right, but it's like the expectations are naturally going to be very high. You were drafted this high for a reason because of what you did in college, the production. However, like y'all are saying, there were signs that maybe he wouldn't. There was a lot of reason to think he would, but there were signs to think that he wouldn't. And now we're here, and what are we seeing, right? You're seeing more of the warnings than the Biletnikoff Award winner last year, right? You're seeing more of the I don't like what I'm seeing here, rather than this guy was the best wide receiver in the class, and it wasn't even close. You're seeing more of the negatives than the positives from this. And yeah, let's watch this clip right here. Well, where is he? Is he the slot on the left?
Yeah, I'll pull it out. Hold on 1 second.
I also just want to say, in 2 games less and on a way worse team, Malik Neighbors is doing better than Marv right now.
Look, yeah, he gets out of his. I mean, I guess first of all,
there he is, right there in the bottom left. Hike.
Oh.
I mean, to me, this is just. Is this the rep right here that I'm looking for?
This is a punt.
Oh, this is the punt, yeah. But either way it goes, man. Like you can scroll and watch through this game, and he's just not.
I mean, those 2 reps alone, I just saw as soon as he got out of his break, which by the way, it was a terrible like stem of his route. Like it was pretty lazy. I mean, it's like he's literally just running. He's not varying his release at all. He's not, trying to stack the receiver or the corner. He's not doing anything other than just like running in a straight line, which is just not what you want to see, especially on his first couple route. Okay, that right there is just good job selling the pass, dog. Like, sure, it may have been inconsequential, but it's like it's the effort. It's all of that stuff that you aren't seeing out there on those examples. That's kind of disappointing, especially because
it's not going to show up on stat sheets.
Yeah, and we saw 3 reps, right? A slant, a dig, and a fly, a fade, whatever you want to call it. The fade route, I kind of get it, right? Like you're not being pressed, right? So there's not much that you can do in your release. That you're not going to vary your release much there. But for the slant and the dig, there was nothing. It was just run like a very robotic, make a really weak cut inside. And then as soon as you make your cut, right? As soon as you make your stick of your route, you just stop. Like he immediately stops. And those are just the kind of things that like you don't want to see from any receiver, much less a first round receiver, much less a top 10 receiver, like receiver who's drafted in the top 10. Someone who was the Biletnikoff Award winner last year, hailed as one of the best wide receiver prospects in recent memory. And you see that, it's not a good sign. He's got plenty of time to turn it around. He's got plenty of time to work on it and get better. But at this current point in time, he has certainly not met expectations, and there is cause for concern.
Yeah, I think the Cardinals just should be better overall on offense, but yeah. Keep it, man. He's overrated so far. I hate to say that we saw this on film, but I was just the whole not going to the combine and just like avoiding it. Like, carve your own path, young man. I understand you want to listen to your dad, but like these experiences and like the competition between your peers makes you better because you don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't know. You know who the people on your team are, and you played with some incredible teammates. But like, you don't know what it's like to match up alongside a guy like Malik Neighbors and having that competition with them, or even somebody like Jermaine Burton. You know what I'm saying? I know we harp on his name. We still haven't seen him play, but like, damn, at least Jermaine Burton is, when we saw him in the preseason, dude was running like he was running away from the cops. You know what I'm saying? Like, just, you can't do this at receiver, man. And then you have corners like Cam Hart that you came out of this class with, and he's destroying you the whole game. It's nasty work. But that's a read option for this week. Very good discussions. Funniest moments of week 7, Sora.
Indeed, yes. I had to double check real quick to see how the boy Charlie Jones was doing. I know he had that kick return touchdown, but I was like, don't tell me he had better stats.
They've made him into a kick returner, and I'm so
yeah, upset. They have. It's so upsetting. I'm like, over Yoshivas for this?
Yeah, Andre Yoshivas, man, that's crazy.
It was upsetting. Anyways, yes. Funniest moments, week 7 of NFL. It's perfect. Well, I say it's perfect, but yes. This will hopefully be a good one. Got some funny, interesting ones there that you just need to let it marinate on. So without further ado, go ahead and play my clips. Oh yes, we are back yet again. All right, Eagles-Giants. Eagles. We finally had a dominant win since the 2022 NFC Championship game. Crazy, I know. Anyways, we're going to look at this tush push here. As you can tell, it's going to be a successful tush push. However, let's just watch AJ Brown on this real quick. My man kept saying, keep rolling. Like, he was just happy to be here, I guess. I don't know what's happening. He went from that to this after another tush push. My man was living the life. He had the pink shoes, everything, had a touchdown himself. I'll respect AJ Brown, but what the Fuchs? Now you're probably wondering, why is Michael Jackson on my screen right now? And that's an excellent question. Let's just watch what Tyler Conklin does real quick and see if it looks familiar. What is happening right now? What is this? What was the point of it? Like,
My wife pointed this out.
and he just let it happen too. That's what's crazy.
He said, "Be blessed,
What the
child."
Fuchs? I just need everybody to watch Christian 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗀𝘀, number 71, on the Vikings, left tackle right here. This is what peak performance looks like. You might not like it, but this is it. Oh, this is so beautiful. He takes this man to Neverland and says, I'm not done. I want seconds. Oh my God. It's a fucking all-you-can-eat pancake buffet. Christian 𝗕𝘂𝘂𝘀𝗀𝘀. They had families, man. Christian 𝗕𝘂𝘂𝘀𝘂𝘀. What the Fuchs?
Yes.
It was Moira.
I saw that and I was like, this is peak male performance. You know.
Yeah, Christian 𝗕𝘂𝘂𝘀𝗀𝘀 is looking like the steal of the 2021 draft.
I know, right?
Mhm.
It's beautiful.
Lord,
You love
amen.
to see it.
All right. Thank you for that. 3 overreactions from week 7. What you got for
Yes,
us?
sir. The first one, your boy Brock Bowers. This one's for you, Raiders fans. He is the best tight end in the league.
Nope.
already.
Stop. You gotta say it. Nope, you gotta say it right. You gotta say it right. If you're gonna say Brock Bowers' name, you gotta say it right.
Enlighten me, Sora.
Listen, Dante does it best. All right. I don't know what else. I don't know what else to
Shout
tell
out
you,
Shout
brother.
out to Graph.
There you go. You got to say it like that, brother.
Brock Bowers. He is
All right,
the
now you may
tight end
continue.
in the league. He currently leads the NFL in receptions and is top 10 in yards, regardless of position, for both of those statistics. All with a talent-deprived roster around him, and no Devontae Adams now. He is, in my opinion, really the only true receiving threat on this team. I'm sorry, Jacoby Myers just does not do it for me as a number 1 receiver. He hardly did it for me as a number 2 receiver.
But the comments said
He's still the guy who will make great catches, right? The catches themselves are great, but he has also shown time and time again, especially at Georgia, that he can make great things happen after the catch too. So with all of the other top tight ends in the league not having maybe the same quite the same year as years past, like a Mark Andrews or Travis Kelce having down years, George Kittle, not putting up the same numbers that Brock Bowers is this year, and even Evan Ingram, he was hurt for a while. Bowers is the best tight end in the league right now. Availability, catching ability, and what he does after the catch. He is having the most impact out of any tight end in the league. So I don't think it's that crazy to say he's already the best in the biz. Many questioned this move of drafting him a year after drafting Michael Mayer out of Notre Dame at tight end, myself included. I was very skeptical. I understand the best player available approach, but really, it was like, why double dip year after year? But I think it made sense to doubt. But looking at it now, it's like, well, it's kind of hard to argue drafting your best weapon on offense. It's hard to argue it now, right? The proof is in the pudding, and they got a great tight end. Raider Nation, got to give you boys some respect. However, Raider fans, y'all may not like this one because this is about a rival quarterback. Rookie Bo Nix will eclipse the 250-yard mark for the first time in his career against the Panthers. Dare I even say the 300-yard mark. Nix has had his ups and downs so far this season, but has faced some pretty good defenses, right? You have to face the Jets secondary. That one was tough, especially won that game 10-9 on a missed field goal from New York. It was all interceptions at first. It was a while of a few games at the beginning, right, to open the season of no touchdowns and just a lot of interceptions. But now it's ever since then, he's only thrown one interception in all 5 of his touchdowns. He's really started to get comfortable, figure things out. He's been able to use his legs, right? That was something he showed coming out of college, and it's translated to the NFL game. He is very good at evading pressure, not getting sacked. That pressure to sack ratio, very, very good. Watch Satisfaction on Thursdays with Don and I, or Don and Tony now. So Bo Nix, right? Oh, he does a lot of things well, but this week he draws a very, very favorable matchup, and that's why I have this overreaction here, which I don't even think is too much of an overreaction. I mean, Carolina has a bottom 10 passing defense and allows the 3rd most passing yards per attempt, and they've generated the 2nd least amount of sacks this season. So Nick should already have a clean pocket. It's time for Nick to have a big game. He started to put it all together, string together some good performances, win some games, and now you draw a matchup against the Carolina Panthers and that decimated defense after the offseason. I think he not only breaks the 250-yard mark, but I think he passes for multiple touchdowns in this game. It will be a big game for Bo Nix and this offense because Carolina is really just that bad. Then moving on to our last overreaction. Kind of brought it up a little earlier, but Baker Mayfield is a top 5 quarterback right now. Out of all the quarterbacks play in 2024,
that is correct.
He is playing as a top 5 quarterback. He is 2nd in passing yards, 1st in touchdowns, 6th in yards per attempt. He is one of 3 quarterbacks in the top 10 in passing with over 70% completion percentage. So he's completing a high percentage of his throws. And he also is doing this with the 6th most drops in the league. So he's not getting too much help. And he's accounted for a league high 107 first downs. So he's moving the football. This was something I talked about last week on the show going into their matchup with the Ravens, is that Baker Mayfield is the one getting it done in terms of moving the ball down the field. He had a win over the Detroit Lions. Their only loss of the season came at the hands of Baker Mayfield. And they have had massive wins over Philadelphia, New Orleans, who maybe that's not quite the flex that it was at the time, right? And also Washington. So the 2 best teams in the NFC East. Big, big wins over them. And their losses, right, are to Baltimore, one of the better teams in the league, Atlanta, a division rival, in overtime, and then kind of a random loss to Denver. So that was a little weird, right? But the rest of his resume looks incredible. And then you get to the interceptions. He's 4th in total interceptions. We kind of, Dante, I think you specifically mentioned something about it, how he's forcing a lot of throws, just kind of being like, someone's down there, right? Mike Evans or Chris Godwin. But the way that he is playing and moving the ball, it's like, yeah, he's very risky, right? But he's so productive, and he is a big reason why this Buccaneer team is as good as it is right now. So you say, well, yeah, he's not top 5. I can name 5 other guys right now. Who are playing exactly? Who is playing like a top 5 quarterback right now? Not Patrick Mahomes. I'm sorry. Like, yes, he may be one of the top 5 best quarterbacks or most talented, but he is not performing like it right now. So right now, no. If I had to choose someone today to go out there and win me a football game, he would not be one of those guys because he hasn't done it this year. He's won games, yeah, but he has not played well. Lamar, right?
I would say off the top of my head, Lamar, Goff.
Yep, that is another one who I had. I had Josh Allen in there. He hasn't thrown an interception yet.
Even though they're not winning stats-wise, Burrow.
Right, and I think that the only other guys who could be in the conversation, in my opinion, for those other 2 spots, CJ Stroud, maybe Joe Burrow. He has the stats, but
Yeah, his stats are very similar to Lamar's and Allen.
and then Baker Mayfield. But when you're second in passing yards, first in touchdowns, sixth in yards per attempt, over 70% completion percentage, have the sixth most drops in the league, are leading the league in first downs. Oh my goodness. Yeah, Baker Mayfield for me is a top 5 quarterback right now in this instant.
Absolutely.
He's playing like it. I give him.
We'll see what it looks like by the end of the season, but absolutely.
That is true. I don't know if he can maintain it, especially now that Chris Godwin had that really bad injury and Mike Evans is out for extended periods of time. Yes, it may not be sustainable turning to Jalen McMillan as your top guy all of a sudden. No diss on him. I think he's a great player. Or could be. He's a rookie. But I think that Baker Mayfield at this point, right now, he is playing like a top 5 quarterback.
Absolutely. I agree with all of these. Great overreactions again for this week. Tori says, I'm sorry, but I'm still taking Mahomes 100% of the time.
I don't necessarily blame you.
I don't blame you, but by the end of the season, when we do our top 5s, who knows what that's going to look like.
Yep. All right. Now we get into the juicy part of today's show. Game predictions, right? Are you guys ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
Buccaneers versus the Falcons. Now, got a little bit of controversy here. Both of the wide receivers are out.
Yeah.
Right? Are we still going to be high on 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗀𝘀𝗀 and the boys getting it done? Or are we going to go with the surging Falcons and their offensive prowess and their defense that's been the last couple of weeks, I guess you could say, has been lagging behind where they probably should be outside of their, the first couple weeks? Atlanta is number 13 in passing yards allowed, which with all the weapons that they've gotten so far, you think that would be better. You also thought that their overall defense would be better at this point since they went out and got everything that they got. They're number 17 overall in defense. Now, when we go to the offensive side of the ball, when you talk about points per game, they're number 15, so they're right there in the middle of the road, right? As far as passing offense, when you talk about passing yards per game, Atlanta is number 5 in the league. But when we go to total offense, that's what everybody really cares about, right? Total offense, they're number 7 in total offense. Tampa Bay is number 5. Even despite their deficiencies at wide receivers. So that is the rankings as of today. They're both 4-3. This is a divisional matchup. We know how things like to get scrappy. But as far as my decision on who I think is going to win this game, I still think that the Buccaneers are going to pull this out. I have one man that I did want to call out that I saw. I said, enough is enough. These safeties are going to have a hard time against this guy. And I think...
Is it the homie?
No, Payne Durham?
Yeah.
No. 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝘀𝗀𝗀, bro. I know. I want... Payne's probably going to show up a little bit more this game, though, to be honest.
Yeah, probably.
But 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝘀𝗀𝗀 had himself a game. The dude was catching everything and getting crunched. I don't think he's necessarily... I said he's going to have himself a game, but what I think is that happened at the right time was last night. And the reason why I say that is because primarily the target for both of the safeties is the tight end, which is going to leave a lot to be desired on the outsides when it comes to Sterling Shepard, Jalen McMillan, Trey Palmer. These guys can still get it done. And the reason why they're still going to get it done, even if they get shut down, is because you have 2 running backs that can catch out of the backfield as much as they can run. Bucky Irving now leads the Buccaneers with 351 yards on the ground. Rachaad White, 227 yards on the ground. And oh yeah, did y'all hear about that secret weapon out of Syracuse that they got last year? And Sean
I am
Tucker?
pleased with my performance.
Sean Tucker's been, after battling some health issues last year, has been a breath of fresh air, and the dude runs angry every single time he gets the ball. I like what Atlanta has, and I understand their rankings, and I understand where they are. Bijan Robinson has been better this year than I think he was last year, to be honest. I still would love to see Tyler Algier get more involved in the passing game. Kyle Pitts is finally getting utilized in a great capacity. As Sora's crying.
There's just so much beauty in the world.
But I still think they're trying to put it all together.
But it's not enough.
Still think they're trying to put it all together. I think Kirk Cousins is going to make them the best team in this division by the end of the season. But as far as right now, it's hard to play a team after they've lost. A career guy like Chris Godwin was having a career year this year. Is going out with a dislocated ankle. A Mike Evans that was having a career year this year as well. Losing him for the next couple of weeks.
I'm about to say, this is because he won't be back till like after week 11. This is like he's at risk not hit 1,000 yards now.
Yeah. Hopefully Tyke Smith is back this week. He's been amazing for them. Levante David has been playing out of
my
his
boy.
mind. 3 sacks, 4 tackles for loss, 4 passes defended.
Hold up, real quick. I'll forget some of y'all motherfuckers saying that I was crazy, saying that Smith was better than Javon Bullard. Interesting. Please continue.
Oh, we knew what it was. But
please continue.
I think Tampa Bay is going to squeak this one out. It's going to be, they're playing at home, which is great. And they're going to remember what happened to 2 of the best players this week.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to be playing some inspired football. And I can't, I can't wait to see them pull one out in an inspired win. Just because they lost their 2 best wide receivers doesn't mean that the likes of Jalen McMillan and Trey Palmer, who haven't really touched the field all too much, are not going to get their wins in. And Cade Otton, what an amazing game from him. So, sorry, Khalid, I didn't mean to.
No, that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. No worries. We'll just start off with that. Yes, I think that the Buccaneers are going to win this. You just all heard me go on a little tangent, little rant, little overreaction about how Baker Mayfield is a top 5 quarterback in the league right now. Yes, he loses his top 2 receivers. So this is where, right, things are going to get really, really interesting for Tampa. You have Jalen McMillan, the rookie out of Washington. How does he fill in relief of those 2 guys? He's going to be asked of a lot, especially drawing a tough matchup against A.J. Terrell. But suddenly, right, Rachaad White is healthy, right? And you had a really good start to the game against Baltimore last night. Really good. You were up 10-0, I believe, and then suddenly things just unraveled really, really fast. So you need to be able to control the clock and keep the ball out of Atlanta's hands, because last time these 2 teams played, not only did Atlanta beat Tampa Bay in overtime, but 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗶𝘀𝗀𝗀 chains for over 500 yards. So you need to keep the ball out of his hands. Rachaad White, Bucky Irving, and Sean Tucker.
I'm pleased.
You feed all 3 of them. Take a little bit of pressure off of Baker Mayfield, right? I know that he leads the league in first downs. Like, the game plan this season has been, man, let Baker cook, right? Like, let him toss it all over the field. But you got to adjust now that you have some of these injuries. Rely on the running game and let that open up things in the passing game for your younger receivers, right? Don't baby them, but recognize that they aren't, Chris Godwin and Mike Evans are 2 incredible receivers. And you don't have just a Mike Evans and Chris Godwin laying around on your bench who you can be like, oh, you can do the same exact thing that those 2 guys did. So rely more on the running backs and keep the ball away from Atlanta, right? I think that's going to be the key to the game for Tampa Bay. But for Atlanta, I think it's going to be a very similar game plan, right? I know that Kirk Cousins just, last time they played the 500 yards, but now I think that this game, right, after seeing how Tampa got dissected by Derrick Henry, you say Bijan, Algier. Man, we got two incredible backs. Bijan, he's more of the typical 3-down back, someone who can tote the rock and is also good at catch the ball. But then you have Tyler Algier, who is like a little bowling ball out there. He's going to run over some dudes. Not to mention Algier averages an entire yard more per carry than Bijan this year. So you have two very capable backs.
Bowling ball.
Little bowling ball had over 1,000 yards the year before they drafted Bijan. So they have two incredibly talented, incredibly capable running backs who, similar to Tampa Bay stable, you can keep these guys fresh, rotate them in and out of the game, right? And let the running game do their thing against the defense where the run defense has been a little shaky, right? Especially last week. Derrick Henry averaged over 11 yards per carry. Right? So the running the football needs to be prioritized for Atlanta. The thing is, they weren't able to do it incredibly well last time they played Tampa. Bijan in particular, right? He didn't have a terrible game, but it wasn't anything close to what Derrick Henry did. And I think that having Lamar Jackson back there in the running game really opens up a lot for Baltimore that makes their running offense unique, something that the Falcons cannot replicate. I'm sorry, but Kirk Cousins is no Lamar Jackson. So
it's nasty work.
Just going off of how things went last time, and I know it sounds kind of crazy to be like, yeah, Atlanta won last time in overtime. Tampa is now coming into this game without Mike Evans and without Chris Godwin. I think they'll win. It sounds a little weird, but I think it's going to force them to rely on the running game more, which is going to help them control the clock. And I still think they'll be able to move the ball and score in Atlanta. So I have Tampa Bay winning this one because I think you're going to see a side of Tampa with the running game that hasn't quite been seen yet, just because they've been so let Baker do his thing, which it's worked to a degree.
Let Baker bake.
We're going to see a different version of Tampa this week.
Agreed.
Correct. Yeah. Pretty much exactly what everybody has said as well. We look at, obviously, game plans are going to have to change with Godwin and Evans being out. We do have Cade Otton. You do have a good 1-2 punch in the running back, but in the backfield. And again, like Khalid's mentioned, multiple times with Baker Mayfield leading in first downs. He's not just deep shot. He's going to play the field to his advantage.
Yeah, he's going to mess you up.
And he's mobile when he needs to, so that's another thing that they kind of can't really, they being the Falcons. But again, kind of what we mentioned, that defense is getting healthy. They just went up against a mobile Lamar. Now they're back to kind of a pocket passer. Yes, they had 500, but I don't see how, even with Atlanta being healthier, they're going to replicate it, especially because probably the game plan is going to be, we don't have our deep threats. We're going to drain the living crap out of this clock. We're going to do some motherfucking spread offense. All right. Just keep handing it off to Bucky, Sean Tucker. Don't matter who's there. Rashad White, I don't care. I don't know. I think it's going to be very long, methodical offensive drives for Tampa. I think that 500 overtime loss, especially when, Mike Evans was having a career day, I think all that still stinks. I think all that's going to accumulate. And I'm pleased with the Buccaneers.
Facts.
Sean Tucker has I am pleased. We had I'm comfortable.
I'm comfortable.
Clean sweep here for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We still have a lot of faith in them. Their depth is awesome, and I think it's time for the young guys to step up. But Baker Mayfield being the quarterback and Todd Bowles knowing what it is to win, gives them honestly an advantage over Raheem Morris and what the Falcons have so far. As far as our predictions for the week, Clean sweep for the Minnesota Vikings on Thursday.
Yes.
We have 2 Bengals winners over the Eagles, and me and Tony. Clean sweep for the Baltimore Ravens over Cleveland. Clean sweep for the Detroit Lions over Tennessee. Me, Don, and Sora trusting the Cardinals to get it done over the Miami Dolphins.
Mhm.
Everybody trusts that the New England Patriots are going to get it done except for Don over the Jets. Clean sweep for Green Bay over Jacksonville. Clean sweep for Houston over Indianapolis. Clean sweep for the Chargers over New Orleans. I have the Seahawks, and everybody else has the Buffalo Bills winning. Clean sweep for Denver over Carolina. Clean sweep for the Chiefs over Las Vegas. Actually, there's a clean sweep for Tampa Bay over Atlanta for all of us.
That's great. Yeah.
Uh,
Who would have thunk?
Don and Sora have the Bears winning. I struggled with this game hard,
I did too, man. I'm gonna be real.
but Mariota showed me what I said before when everybody called me an idiot, that he could get it done with Cliff Kingsbury
yeah.
and his OC.
Correct. Yes.
So me, Khalid, and Tony got the Commanders. Clean sweep for San Francisco over Dallas.
Which is crazy that San Fran's healthiest receiver right now was shot like at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
Really makes you think. And yet he still has more yards than Johnny Wilson. That was a little Florida State dig, but I had to take it.
That's okay. I like Ricky better than I like Johnny anyways. And then Steelers over the Giants and a clean sweep there. So a lot of clean sweeps, gentlemen, for the week.
Yes.
For week 8 here.
We're either going to do great or terrible.
Yeah.
Correct.
So
It was nothing like college last week for me. I killed it in NFL. I did not kill it in college.
no, sir. No moss. Well, everybody,
I was not comfortable.
that's been our show, man. Appreciate everybody in the comments. Appreciate everybody that will be listening and rewatching this again. Another great week of football coming up. College and NFL have been pretty unpredictable thus far. So I'm actually
Been a lot of good slates, but it's been chaotic.
I'm actually surprised at how good our record predictions have been. And the ECG record predictions, boy, if you ain't putting your money on that,
For real.
I don't know, bro. The ECG predictions have been going crazy. He's sitting there alone by himself. He's like, all I'm doing is just averaging everything that y'all got and then picking the winner. Everything.
The AI is winning. This cannot be.
Yeah. AI is winning.
Yeah. Elon,
Anything y'all want to
please.
say before we get out of here, man?
No. I'm ready
I
for
know I
either a
Would not be
crazy.
shocked if they lose.
Huh?
What?
What?
You were turning into Optimus Prime there for a second, homie.
Am I like super laggy?
Nah, you
Or,
ain't.
like deep fried? Okay.
No,
My connection's being weird right now, but I said
Just wrap
I
it
know
up.
I picked the Eagles, but I wouldn't be shocked if they lost
Oh,
to
absolutely.
Cincinnati.
Correct. I would not be surprised. I'm hoping that we've got momentum now.
Thursday night.
Jalen Hurts has looked
satisfaction.
like a different quarterback now, so we're hoping.
Yeah, look out for Thursday night satisfaction. Look out for any play-by-plays that may come up. I don't know. Maybe over this weekend, maybe not. Look out for me and 𝗂𝘂𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀 to go live from Houston, Texas.
Live
Oh yeah.
from Houston.
We're gonna have some cool content for y'all. Maybe I'll get 𝗂𝘂𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀 to go around and interview people before the game. Maybe we'll get the next Jalen Burger going 3 for 3.
Oh yes. We could
Who could that
definitely do some of
potentially
that.
be?
Yes. All right, guys. Appreciate everybody. Everybody be safe. We'll see you guys on Thursday. Wish me and 𝗂𝘂𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 a safe flight out to Houston and drive for him. All right. Appreciate it.
Anyways.
Peace.